Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we are going to take a look at a rather curious question, because for the most part of the story, Ainz has no equal in battle, and even against Shaltir, Ainz could prepare hours in advance in order to heighten his chance at winning against her. But there's another force that might have even surpassed the combined power of the Great Tomb of Nezarec, that of the 8 Greed Kings. But before we are going to dive deeper into their presumed power and if they were more powerful than Nezarec, we are going to take a look at my Patreons and thank them for supporting this channel. Also thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations to my channel. Thanks guys. Now, with that said, let's quickly remind ourselves who they are. And by the way, spoilers for the 4th season of Overlord onwards. The 8 Kings of Avarice were presumably 8 players, though looking at the fact that the 13 heroes were not only more than 13 people, but also had demi-humans and heteromorphs in their ranks, and were at least accompanied or indeed led by Platinum Dragonlord, the entire situation is likely far more complicated. What makes the whole situation even more complicated in terms of reliability is the fact that the 8 Greed Kings killed Surshana, the last remaining god of death. And what makes the whole situation even more complicated in terms of reliability is the fact that the 8 Greed Kings killed Surshana, the last remaining god of the slain theocracy, something that they likely didn't like very much. And since ultimately, the theocracy is the one that not only survived until the current timeline, but also reclaimed its place as the dominant force of humanity. It means that they had plenty of time to tamper with evidence and the entire story. For example, it is likely that the 8 Greed Kings were known as the 8 Great Kings or something in their timeline, or by any other self-fashioned title. But since the theocracy hated their guts, they changed it to a more humiliating title. Essentially, they were the dominating source for knowledge about the 8 Greed Kings, and they had a vested interest in vilifying them absolutely and completely. But even with all of this supposed tampering, the theocracy couldn't hide the true power of these kings. First and foremost, the 8 Kings of Avarice managed to kill off the theocracy's god of death, making it pretty clear, at least to the inner circle of the theocracy, because I highly doubt that this is public knowledge, that they were stronger than the theocracy, even when it had still players walking among them, and therefore a much deeper insight into Yggdrasil, the items, and basically anything else a player can know, or do, for example, create undead leaders like Rufus, which is likely the first follower of Surshana. He still got killed, and the theocracy had likely also been conquered, though not long enough to crush the 6 cults, who still are unifying this nation to this day, which also hints that the 8 Greed Kings likely didn't bother with the slain theocracy after killing the only person that they could consider an equal to them in terms of origin, or that their reign was rather short. And I think both factors play a role in all of this. The fact that they are known to be greedy also likely refers to just how much territory and treasure they have conquered in a short time. And this is of special note, because back in the current Overlord timeline, the Great Tomb of Nezarec, while also capable of conquering the continent, although Demiurge isn't sure just how many losses Nezarec would sustain, doesn't face nearly the amount of adversity and powerful nations and dragons the 8 Greed Kings had to contend with. Think about it. The dragons were still near their peak of their power. They were far more numerous and also likely could, like Platinum does today, make out and enlist strong New World beings for their purpose. Also, and this is an oftentimes overlooked fact, not only were the dragons way stronger, but the entirety of the New World, or at least the continent, had a much higher level on average. Only the conquest of the 8 Greed Kings, who crushed basically anyone that didn't submit, led to a near extinction of likely far more powerful species. For example, if frost giants were able to contend with frost dragons, maybe back then they were stronger and had some true giants around them at the times of the 8 great kings that would be able to hold their own, at least to an extent, against even true dragon lords. And also neither the dragon lords nor the giants would exist in a vacuum. Other species would still manage to carve out their place for themselves, even while everyone was way stronger. The only people that didn't do that, and that were nearly extinct, were us poor squishy humans. And even after the war had been over, they apparently had more than enough resources to form a great and continent-spanning prosperous realm. Which also meant that with the continent conquered by tier magic users, tier magic became finally the dominant form of magic on the continent. And it wasn't an external force that brought them down. It had been infighting, because only one of the great kings had been a girl, and apparently the 7 other kings fought with their USB sticks, and not with their CPUs, if you get my drift. So, with all of this in mind, what can we truly say about the strength of the 8 great kings? Well, they were way stronger than the kingdom or the empire, or the dragon kingdom, the holy kingdom, the city-state alliance, or any other minor nation. They were also way stronger than the theocracy today, because they had been able to kill the last remaining player, Sorshana, which led me to the conclusion that they were also way stronger than the theocracy at near their peak power, and would also have been able to defeat all 6 players. They also conquered the entire continent when it had been way more powerful, so even the strong, battle-hardened nations vying for dominance in the center of the continent would be little more than a nuisance at best. And of course they could conquer the continent in the first place from their original rulers, the Dragon Lords, who had been way stronger and way more numerous back then. So in conclusion, they are the second strongest power that existed in the New World for sure, and might even be able to defeat Ainz. And how that could have happened will be the topic for my next video. For now, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Badger Yi, Ben C, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragon Lord, Dystopia the Second, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Michael R, Michael Y, Oakhill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonnegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.